Hi, everybody, and welcome to Meet Your Trading Experts for today. Hey, everybody. Welcome along to Meet Your Trading Experts. It's great to have you along. And my guest today is Ash Bull from Brighton in the UK. Ash, how are you going?
Very well, mate. Yeah, really well.
It's an interesting time in the markets. The markets continue from mine to be a little bit challenging, but really some good opportunities if you're patient, right?
Yeah, I find there's an opportunity every day because of the way I trade, but sometimes you have to turn those opportunities down, of course, but I'm finding that there's at least three a week, and it's actually been more recently, but at least three a week. But the other thing that I'm seeing is that on the weeks when those opportunities are less, they are bigger runs. So the market will tend to go further. And that's because the way that I'm approaching the market is really looking for support and resistance and trying to trade between 2 points, which means that if the market's in that particular range, there'll be an opportunity every day. But if it's about to break out from that particular point, you might need to wait for an extra signal. But obviously, when it goes, it means that opportunity will be a greater opportunity. So that means that you'll be in that particular move, maybe for an extra session.
And I really like that. We're here to talk about trading breakthroughs. And I think one thing I'd like to do is, and look, the first thing I'd like to do is really open up today and ask guys, if you want to have a chat, if you have any questions, then let's post the questions. Let's get into it. I want this to be a really informal show, just a chat really, and a chance for us to ask Ash any questions. I'm going to start off, Ash. We're here to talk about trading breakthroughs, and every trader is trying to break through to the next level because the next level is always substantially better financially. But for you as a trader, look, you've been doing this for 15, 16 years?
Yeah, 15 years, circa 15 years, probably a little bit over.
Cool. So along the way, you make a lot of breakthroughs, and really you make, at the start, these breakthroughs, you just stop losing so much money as the first breakthrough you make, where you get to some point, you go, oh, that's so much better. It's not burning a hole in my wallet every day.
Yeah.
What are the keys to making breakthroughs?
I think understanding, so you have to understand what you're looking at. And the reality of that is that you can't do that unless you have other people that understand what you should be looking at. That are either A, willing to teach you, or B, recognizably established. So when you watch them or listen to them, you're able to pick things up. Because if I think about my trading style, it really is. It's like an amalgam of lots of different people have either said to me on the way of the way they approach the markets. It's not a trading style that I just came up with. It's not the original style that the very first person who taught me how to trade taught me. But that's still in there. But then there'll be sort of like somebody else that says something, and I think that's quite interesting. Can I utilize that alongside this, or is it a completely different approach, or is it something that needs to be maybe in balance depending on the market conditions? So it really is the breakthroughs come from my experience, the next person you meet, the next best person you meet, if you like, who's got a new approach.
I really like that. I was talking today to Lloyd, and we were chatting about some stuff with the testing program that we're running at the moment. And one of the things that Lloyd said, which I really did like, was he talked about the fact that you guys have really swapped over in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, you were really into technicals, and he was into fundamentals, and now you're moving into fundamentals, and he's moving into technicals. And we were talking about the fact that as a trader, what happens is you do that, and you run off, and you become far more proficient in fundamentals. And then you go somewhere else, but you've still got that knowledge from the fundamentals, and it builds. So you become better at the next thing you're going to do. And maybe the next thing is reversal bars or price action only. You really get into that for a while and you become better at that. Then you wander off somewhere else, but you've got the knowledge from the fundamentals and the knowledge from the stuff. And you just have a bigger base to build on all the time as you get better and better. You agree?
And I think what's quite significant about that is that a mistake I was making when I learned something new is to go fully into the new thing that I'd learned, rather than going, let's join them together. Let's start to fuse these things, because when you start to fuse them, then you are genuinely building knowledge. Otherwise, you're starting from ground zero again, and going from that particular point. So that is a breakthrough, I suppose. One of the breakthrough moments is that everything that I learn from here on in, or everything that I've learned over the years, is an addition to what I knew before.
Sorry, as an example, right? I reckon that when we're training traders, we're watching them go through the process, right? Again, if you have any questions, guys, if you're in the Zoom session, put them in the chat. If you're on Facebook, put them in the questions, and Mai will bring them to us. If you're on Twitter, not so much, put them in the chat there, but Facebook or YouTube, Zoom, get us the questions on YouTube as well, and we will get them sent into the Zoom webinar. We'll answer them for you. Look, so I think I was going to say, Ash, is that one of the things you watch, and watching people learning is a fascinating thing to do when you watch enough, right? But you teach someone technical trading, and they become really proficient at it, right? And then they start digging around in, let's say, fundamentals or seasonality or something else, and they get a fundamental opinion long, and they just buy. Yeah. All the technical skills, they just forget them, right? Instead of going, well, I'm going to wait for a pullback. I'm going to wait for an opportunity. I'm going to wait for it to bounce off this because I've got all these skills. Oh, no, it's fundamental. And this isn't right. If you don't integrate them, these things don't work next to each other. They work integrated.
Absolutely right. And you're talking about sort of other people doing that, but I've been there. I know that's the mistake because I've made it, where I was learning something new. And it's because I would learn it quite deeply. I would go into the new subject quite deeply. So I'd almost say, well, this is the new thing that I will do. But actually that isn't the best approach, because what that's saying is that what you knew before wasn't relevant. And the only reason that you would say that is if it was never making you any money. But
even if it wasn't making you any money, actually, there's still some stuff in that to take going forward, because there'll be some good stuff in the stuff that we're assuming here that you've been taught by people who know what they're doing. Not
exactly.
If you're going on Google and searching trading, that's a different thing, and just throw it all away and start again. That's just all rubbish. But if you've learned some stuff, even if you're not making money, there's a basis in there you've got into, and it's where it's really tough, because which sounds really simple, but as a student, as someone learning this, you don't know sometimes which ones they are. And students often try and hold on to stuff that's very dear to them, but doesn't really work, and they kind of throw away some stuff that could work if they keep working at it. But I've got a question. I'm going to open up to you first. I'm going to comment on it. Actually, if you don't mind, Ash, I'm going to answer it first, if that's okay.
Yeah.
The question comes from Stuart. Thank you very much for the question, guys. Do keep the questions coming in. How big a role do you think psychology plays versus having a consistent approach? My answer to that, Stuart, is that if you have a consistent approach, your psychology is no problem. When you have an inconsistent approach, when you're not doing that stuff rightly, I'm not sure rightly is a real word, but when you're not doing that stuff right, that's when you have problems with psychology. When you have a consistent approach and you're being consistent, then actually there's no issue with your psychology. So I don't think you can have a consistent approach and psychology be an issue. When you have an inconsistent approach, then psychology is the issue, and it needs to be tidied up before you really make any progress. That's from me, Ash. What about you?
Yeah, I completely agree. It's a kind of hand-in-hand relationship between psychology and consistent approach, because if your approach is that you take a trade in the market, and let's say your trade is losing at that particular point, and if your approach is to leave a stop loss in a specific place and you move your stop loss, then actually your consistency is wrong, and you have to question what's wrong with your psychology to be doing that, and the chances are that you've probably been romanced by emotion at that particular point, and you've allowed your emotion to get on top of you. So the consistency is really, really important. And I don't say this lightly, because actually when you have experience in the market, what you see is layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. You see many different things happening, and what these things do is give you opportunities, but in a kind of in a different area. In the same way that we were just talking about learning fundamentals, there might be a fundamental opportunity, but no technical opportunity. So unless you are on top of the consistent nature of how you're going to marry those two things, then your psychology will be all over the place. Because if it's the first time you've traded a fundamental approach, then your mind will be full of questions. You won't know exactly how to play that. so the consistency won't be there. So that they are something that have to be hand in hand, you know. And just as a little trick, you know, one of my favorite tricks for trading psychology is to walk away. It's simple. You don't have to look at the markets and try and get your head right and try and get your head strong. Just walk away. Just go and do something. It's not shaping up. This thing isn't going as well as it should. You know, I've got my particular protection in place. I've picked my levels. I've done my thing. Now I'm not going to sit here and watch the market and let it churn me up and force me into doing something that I don't consistently do.
The definition of simple but not easy.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. I mean, do you know what though, mate? When you make that breakthrough, it becomes a lot easier. And I suppose that's the thing about the simple, not easy. The reason that trading is simple is that if you do the specific things, you will be fine. You'll make money in the long run. You'll be a winner. That where it's not easy is that when you're starting out, you think somehow that you can affect the market by watching it. But actually, if you want to make it easy on yourself, then take the simple approach, do the right thing, and if it's not working out, walk away and don't get churned up, because there is nothing that will test your emotion like trading. Nothing.
I was sorry. So I was talking to one of the programmers last night about the Jaguar, and he said, "Oh, I've seen the Jaguar nearly get to the target a few times now, and it's turned around, and maybe we should blah blah blah." And I'm just like, actually, we've got 58 years of testing behind that thing. Of course, every trade you take nearly gets to target and then doesn't, and it breaks your heart. And then sometimes it goes nearly to stop loss and then goes to target. And you think and really, one of the things that's amazing about us as human beings is that somehow we attach our emotions to these events that are completely random to us.
Yes.
Right? The market did what the market did, and if you have the right approach, you will literally sometimes get within a pip of target and lose, and you will feel heartbroken, because we all do. And sometimes you'll get within a pip of stop loss and win, and you'll feel elation, because we all do. And none of it helps, because what you've got to do is ignore both of those experiences and just go, okay, well, that's my target.
Well, do you know what? It's interesting because it almost comes on to Crystal's question. Crystal's saying no management after setting the trade. And where I would caveat what you've just said is to say that if your approach is to manage the trade afterwards, then manage the trade afterwards. If I get within a few pips of the target and I see something which suggests it's not going to get there, and I've seen that thing consistently over the many years I've been trading that suggests I won't get there, then I will close the position and I will say I don't care if it gets the target now, because my job is to number one, defend, and number two, to make money. Defend my account. Number two, make money.
That is the strategy, right there, Ash.
Exactly.
Right? That's your approach, right? It's not that you change it. It's like have an approach and back the approach. And Crystal, if I wasn't when I'm not teaching, when I'm not coaching, I don't look at my trades. And Ash does manage his trades, during the process a lot more. And when I say that, I'm exactly the same. Let's be honest. If I'm 3 pips away from a target and, I have a look at the charts, and I think, well, I can leave that and see what happens. I come back tomorrow morning. I can take the money. I'm going to take the money. And I've always done that, right? But it is a very consistent behavior. But what I don't do is get burned up by it. That's not true. What I don't do is get affected by being burned up by it. I still get, it doesn't matter who you are and what you do. You miss your target by a few pips and it comes back on you. It is frustrating. But the ability to go, oh, well, that's also in the back testing. I'll be, that's happened 100 times and it's still made a shitload of money. So I'm just going to stay doing what I'm doing, I think is the thing. And have a trading plan. And when you leave that trading plan, just screw it up and throw it away because you don't believe in it. If you've got an approach, if you've got a plan and you, then follow that and stay calm, and then you can evaluate the plan. As soon as you start changing it, and look again, if part of your plan is to manage it and say, look, okay, I'm aiming for 3 to 1, but if it's a horizontal level past 2 to 1, I'm taking my money. That's still your plan, right? Yeah. If it gets within 5 pips and I'm going to go to bed tonight, I'm going to take my money. That's still just part of your plan. But when you start leaving the plan, then you don't have a plan. And we don't have a plan. Look, I can't think of one place in the world where your money plus no plan ends well. That's not a real thing as far as I'm aware. Your money plus a plan can end well, but your money plus no plan, I can't see how that does end well. I love the questions. Thanks, Stuart. Thanks, Crystal. We'll put both of you in the draw at the end of the show for an extra for twice because you're asking questions. Appreciate that. If you want to go in the draw twice, make sure you ask a question. You go in the draw twice. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, just put the question in the comments area there, and I'll pick it up and ask us. Ash, so we're talking about breakthroughs today. And we're going to talk a little bit later about the breakthrough you've made recently and what's next. But I'm pretty keen to keep talking a little bit about how you make them. I think, for the average trader, understanding what you do after you made a breakthrough isn't as relevant as understanding how to make a breakthrough, right?
Yeah.
So, and one of the questions that Stuart, and by the way, Stuart, if we didn't answer your question clearly for you, just put it back in the questions box and we'll come back to it. We don't mean to not do that. We're trying to give you the best, clearest answer. But if it's not clear to you, just ask again and we'll come back to it. One of the things that floats around my head in this discussion, Ash, is that in the midst of this, one of the things that interests me is that sabotage from traders is a very, very same thing for each trader. So we have some traders, right, who'll go boom, 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 bang. Boom, 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 bang. And their habit is to have one bad day. And once a month, once a year, they just have a day, let's destroy the whole thing. And they'll do that same thing over and over and over again. Other people, when it comes to sabotage, they do it in a different way, and they'll just be pulling stop losses back, and all of a sudden, their one, all of a sudden, they go, pop, it's different. Like they lose it more slowly, if you like. But I've never seen anybody, and all the time I've watched this, and all the people I've worked with, whose method of sabotage varied, right? So the way that, we've all done it. You've done it. I've done it. The way that you sabotaged your trading in the past was the way you did it. And I don't remember it ever being any different. It was always the same that I can recall, right?
Yeah.
The question for mine is, how do we identify it and how do we change it?
Oh, do you know, I think it's a great question. So, and the reason I think it's such a good question is that you can actually use that sabotage, and you should actually use that sabotage as an advantage and as a bounce point. Now, there's almost a few different ways to approach, how you're gonna fix that losing, if you like, that losing methodology that you've got into. Now, the first thing obviously can be, is it about getting out of the trade too early? Is that the problem? Getting out of the trade too late? Are you moving these stop losses consistently? What's the problem with that? And if it's that, it's a very, very simple fix. Because then the fix is just to leave things as they are, and really back to Crystal's point. This is where somebody like that would need to say, that's my management. My management is I put my stop loss in and then I walk. My trade is set and then I walk, because the trade will do what it will do. But one of the things that I was learning, I suppose, over the time, is that that sabotage was actually very, very close to it actually being a success. That's probably that's the difficulty, is that sometimes what the mistake you're making is only just a few clicks away from it actually being a successful approach. And I'm not talking about a trade by trade basis, a successful approach. And if you can recognize that, then you can say, all I need to do is adapt and massage this approach a little bit to actually make it so it becomes successful, rather than consistently, rather than it being a failure, if you like. But because the sabotage, as you say, it is different for each person, the first thing you've got to do is recognize, what is it? What is the sabotage? And I can tell you from my experience, the most important thing for me was, what I found was that one mistake compounds. The one mistake, if I make a mistake, it compounds. That means I'm likely to make another one straight after. It's a bit like when a football team scores. They're at their most vulnerable. Well, just after.
Congratulations, by the way.
Mate, do you know what? I was thinking about our conversation at the start of this tournament, and you were going, England aren't going to win it. And I was like, I haven't got a chance, mate. And here we are in the final.
They're still going to lose 4-0 to Italy, mate. Italy's quite a good side.
Yeah, but I didn't think we would get this far. I looked at the draw and I was like, there's no way. But yeah, anyway. it's kind of it's that is the analogy that I would use, because let's hope so, Crystal. Let's hope so. The analogy I would use is that when if I make a mistake, it compounds, and as long as I can recognise that, then I can utilise that to my advantage, and say, as long as I've kind of journaled it, if you like, how soon after I can sort of almost do a timeline. How soon after do I make my second mistake? And if it's within a week, then I know, then I take a week off. Or you know, what is causing the mistake? And what I found was actually it was just a position size. You know, so if the trade wasn't a problem, and that's quite a simple fix. You know, maybe the trade isn't the problem. Maybe the stop loss isn't a problem. Maybe it's the position size. So then I can look at and fix that. So understanding what it is that sabotages you really helps you learn. And I find that the time that you really know what kind of trader you're going to be and whether you're going to make it is what are you going to do when things are going wrong. You know, don't worry about when things are going right, because when things are going right, they take care of themselves. The question you should always be asking, or I certainly analyze much more deeply, is what am I going to do when things are going wrong? How am I going to react? That's the difference between a winner and a loser, in my opinion.
I really like it, Ash. One of the things we've been talking about this is that, you know, I'm going to give away a bit of a coaching secret here, right? If you want to understand someone's psychology in trading, just go through their trading record to their losing day, and you'll see it. You know, they take 3 trades a day, 3 trades a day, 3 trades a day, 3 trades a day, 4 trades a day, 2 trades a day, and on the losing day, they take 15 trades.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you just look at that and go, okay, well, we know what's going on here, right? That when they lose, they're overtrading and trying to get the money back. And if we can have a rule that if you take 3 consecutive losing trades, you have a day off, then one or two things will happen. They'll follow that rule and they'll go forward, or they'll destroy themselves at that point because they can't do it. Because they can't, because they won't do it. And when they don't do it, worse. See, awareness is an amazing thing in trading, right? When you know your problem and you've got genuine awareness of it, you can really make a difference and you can really change it. But if you've got awareness and you don't make a difference, don't make a change, and you don't improve it, then you find yourself that there's a very different guilt, if you like. Maybe it's a bad word, I don't know. But when you're doing it wrong and you don't really know, and it's subconscious, there's not much you can do. When it is conscious and you keep doing it wrong, you need to have a break, because you're in a bad place mentally. At that stage, you do have to come back and look at the bigger picture stuff like you're saying, Ash. That's often because there's a money thing involved that's driving your behavior past the normal, which could be too big a loss on the stop loss, or literally that, I've got to make $5,000 this month to pay the mortgage. I've got to, you know?
Yeah.
That then even awareness gets run over, and understanding where you are in that stuff's really important. Look, I encourage you guys to, if you have any more questions, do let us know. I really want this to be just a chat. And me and Ash, we were talking about this last night, that we sit down and talk for an hour about trading when we feel like it. So having you guys here is just, part of it, and it gives me a chance to encourage you guys to just to jump in and ask any questions and to learn from it. So Ash, breakthroughs as a trader, take something and look, I want to see if I've got this clear, because I think this part's from mine really interesting, right? So you're working away on trading, and you're focusing on an area. Maybe you're working on trading your strategy a little bit better. Maybe you're working at again really working on price action, understanding price action a little bit better. Whatever it is, right? And you go, okay, well, what's the next step? And the next step is, I've done quite a lot of work here, so I'm going to go and have a look at fundamentals. There's a point where you have to go, well, look, I've done quite a lot of work here. I need to go and have a look at something else. Just keeping working on the same thing doesn't genuinely work in my experience. You can be the best technician on the planet, but if you haven't reached out a little bit, it just won't quite work. There needs to be a broader base of knowledge for that, right? Yeah,
I think that's true. And that, I suppose, for me, kind of happened more accidentally than anything else. I've got quite an inquisitive nature anyway. I love learning things. I love learning new things. And I'll even learn something while I'm, that's one of the ways I'll relax as well, is to kind of learn something new. So I guess it's one of the fortunate aspects of my personality. And when I think about, people that are successful traders or anything else, we're not unusual people. We're not particularly exceptional or special. But but it's just utilizing your strengths, I suppose, and trying to use what you do have, because we've all got something. We've all got something special about us, if you like. It doesn't have to be unique, but it can just be a personality trait that we have, and we can utilize that. We can utilize that when we kind of go forward with trading. So I'm fortunate in that way that's helped me relax, if you like, kind of learning new things. But I do think it's important, and I do think that anybody that's kind of approaching, this from an outside perspective, it pays to be inquisitive, but not at the risk of listening to everything that's out there. And this is the balance. This is where you've got to be relatively strong, and this is where experience matters, because we could tell you how to trade. We could tell you a technique of how to trade, what you should do and everything else. But where experience matters is the filter of what you should weave into your approach and what you should discard. Sometimes that's easy because you can see that whoever's telling you something doesn't know what they're talking about. But sometimes it's a bit more tricky where, I'll use the Sunday update as an example. 5 traders could say something different about the same product, but they've got different approaches. So they may all make money out of that particular approach. So what you need to be able to do as a kind of a viewer and listener is to go, I'm going to go and listen to Paul for right now, because Paul is saying something which actually suits more closely to what I'm doing than maybe what Ash is doing. So that's one thing that does have to be kind of tempered with learning. You've got to make sure that you go deeply enough into each area to really use it and to be able to take advantage of it.
Mate, I'd like to jump on a few things there. I was just making a note that there's quite a lot in that to sort of try and build on, Ash. There really is. And we've got a couple of questions. We'll get to those questions in a couple of minutes. Look, so we talked about when you're working in an area, or, you go, okay, I've done a bit of time here. Now it's time to go and to add something to it, right? And I'm a bit of a fan of that. I don't think that, one-dimensional traders really make great traders. But if you want a bit of a hint, right, that there's, when you're looking for your first thing, the first thing you want to do is try lots of things. You spend 6 months a year, you try lots of things, and then you come back and go, actually, I quite like the price action thing. Or I quite like this, I quite like that. But my suggestion to you was that common sense takes you a long way. And it's easier to talk about other people's common sense because we've got vision over you. You're in the middle of it. But look, if you're somebody who thinks that you really understand the picture and you really know what a chart's trying to tell you, then start there. Start on the technical stuff. And if you're looking at the picture going, actually, it's not super clear to me, then go and do some work on fundamentals or COT or seasonals or that kind of stuff, and see if you can give yourself that bias before you start trading. Now, we do a lot of stuff on those things, and a lot of our guys use them pretty heavily. But, when you're looking for a starting place, don't, I always talk about, work on the worst area and you'll get the most improvement. Well, that's true, but that's not where to start. Start the place that makes the most sense to you and build some progress, and then come back and do the other stuff. Look, we've got some great questions coming on. I do want to get to them. There was something else in the stuff that Ash just said. I thought there was some really good stuff in there. Look, I really do encourage you to make sure you come back and watch the video of this, because the more you watch it, the clearer some stuff will get. Now, I've got quite a few questions to ask Ash, and before I get to them, anything from the last period we need to recap, try and make really clear?
Because so much has been said. Well, I suppose I guess it might be better to leave it to the guys in the room.
Anything? Okay. Well, let's run down the questions that we've got. And look, if you've got any more questions, whack them in, because I'm loving these questions. And I think, look, the truth is that we all know this stuff, right? That everyone's got the same questions. Someone just has the nous to ask them. So please ask the questions and we'll get them in. And these are great, if mine, classic trading questions. So Ash, how do you boost your motivation? This is from Juan. How do you boost your motivation to trade when you don't feel like it? Basically, how do you pick yourself up when you're down?
I would say that's going to be pretty much the same as anything you've got in life. If your motivation is low, you don't. I mean, this is aside from trading. You know, what's wrong with your head right now? Why have you got a lack of energy? Is it your diet? And I know I don't want to make this really kind of basic about that stuff, but it is important. Is it your diet? Is it the sleep that you're getting? Is there something is there some sort of outside influence which is bringing you down, like, you know, a bad friend or whatever, you know, people you shouldn't be hanging out with? So the right people around you is really important. The right food is really important. Exercise is really important. And the right rest is really important. So if you've got those things in place, motivation probably will come back. I know what you're getting at there, Juan, to be honest. And it's not something that I haven't experienced, because I absolutely have. There's times where I will get in front of the charts, and I'm never not motivated with trading. But sometimes I have a lack of motivation in the research that I need to do that particular day, because it might be heavy lifting. You know, there might be something that I need to research, and it's heavy lifting, and I've got to get myself in the right space. And I do find going, you know, making sure that I see the outside and things like that, getting a clear head, going for a walk and clearing my mind, it just kind of gets me back in the right place. So it's something away from training. It's not a mindset you got to kind of like G yourself up. That's not what I find anyway. It's just changing the things that you might be doing that is taking your energy away. Maybe you're not getting out enough. Maybe you're eating too much chocolate, whatever it is, you know. So diet, rest, and exercise, I would say, are the most important things.
Cheers, mate. If I can jump into that as well, one of the things that ties me from sport, and when you're coaching sport at a high level and people have a bad game, it's devastating for them, and they're really down. And people always, the conventional wisdom is, you know, throw them straight back in. And I never used to do that. I used to get them to watch a game, because there's no bigger builder up a game than watching a game. You realize when you watch a game just how much you miss it. And as a trader, if that means having a day away from the charts, that's certainly a good thing to do when you're down. Look, if you're feeling really crap, dragging yourself in front of some charts and trying to force yourself to do something, I don't think that works in any part of our life. But so I think having a day away is really good. And coming back, and one of the guys that did some work with me and Jeff right at the start, he always taught us this, right? The first day back, he'd never placed a trade. And if you really want to get your head around trading again, sit down and go, okay, I'm going to spend 2 hours today. I'm going to watch the charts. I'm going to do everything I would normally do, but I'm not placing any trades. And by the time you've done that, your enthusiasm will be back tomorrow. You know, you'll so much enjoy it because there's no money involved anymore. You'll see this, and I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And you go from, oh, this all sucks, to, oh, there's an opportunity. I wonder if that's going to happen. I should have been in that, you know? And after a while, that can really pick you up. So I'm a big believer in having a complete break, but also just spending some time watching charts. And look, as a trader, you know, there's full of all these sayings and that kind of stuff, but really, a couple of hours watching charts will not do your trading history, your trading future, any harm at all. You only get better from watching charts. So I find that kind of stuff really picks me up. So,
you know what, mate? Interesting on that as well. You know, you saying that you would encourage somebody to watch a game. What we're almost kind of forgetting, which actually is probably the most important. Get yourself around other people that, you know, are interested in whatever it is you're doing. Get around people that are trading, because that guy that came to you and said, I'm feeling like this, he needed you to say, go watch a game. I can give you some advice on this. So get around some other traders, you know, come and listen to Trading Buddies live on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll get you back interested in it.
What I actually did was I dropped him, Ash. I put him on the bench and made him watch a game. I didn't say to him, go watch a game. I said, actually, you're going to watch the next game.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, like this, but, you know, benching players from a point of view of motivation, that's why people do it. The reason that coaches bench players is about motivation. You know, to be honest, if you're a top-level player, it's never about your ability. You wouldn't be there if you didn't have the ability, right? It's about just refocusing your head and refocusing your hunger. And I think, you know, being put on the bench for a day is not a bad thing to do for a trader at all, or anything in life. Look, questions are piling in. I'm going to just keep running through them. And we're going to take the time. We're just going to answer them as fully as we can. I've got a few questions fresh at the end about his breakthrough, about what he's done and what's next. But that can wait to the very end if you keep asking the questions, as your show, as Ash said. So from Greg, mate, how long did it take you to find your trading style and focus, and how often has that changed in your trading career?
It has developed. I wouldn't use the word changed, because it's developed rather than changed. And it took quite a few years in truth. I mean, I've been trading for 15 years, but the first 5 of those were just kind of trading off books and buying CDs from Amazon of somebody's trading style. So I wouldn't say the first 5 years by any stretch was education enough for me to hold on to pretty much any of that information. All I learned in the first 5 years is how it feels to lose money, which, don't get me wrong, is useful, because it kind of, certainly from my perspective, it kind of made me quite dogmatic's the wrong word, isn't it? Dogged, made me quite dogged to go, okay, come on. I mean, if there are people out there making money from this stuff, if I believe other people are making money from this stuff, then I can make money from this stuff. So it made me dogged the first 5 years, but then the next period was learning a strategy. Now that strategy has evolved over the years, but it's evolved rather than changed, and it probably took still at least 5 years of kind of trusting it. And it didn't take me that long because I needed to learn it so much necessarily. It's just being able to trust it. And this is almost back to consistency psychology. When you've got something you can trust, then you will do the same thing or relatively similar every single time you trade. So it took me another 5 maybe to 7 years to kind of get the style down, but then to refine it took another maybe another 3 years again. So it's kind of like, it's now in the refined area. I feel really comfortable when I open up a chart. I know what I should do, and now the question is, will I do it? And the breakthrough is, yes, I will. And that's the point, really. That's the point of the breakthrough. Not do I see a chart and know what I should do. That probably happens relatively early on. But will I do it is the next thing. And now when I sit in front of the chart, I think, yeah, well, of course I will, because this makes money. And I know that if I get it wrong, no big deal. There'll be another opportunity coming up. So that's the change. That's the only change, really. The switch from will I or won't I, not can I or can't I.
And look, Ash, obviously I know your journey reasonably well, and in that journey, right, there's parts where there's probably a period of time where you tried to hold on to the strategy as a complete bundle done.
Yeah.
And maybe there was a year there where you just wanted to keep, and that's valuable as well. But there was a time where you went, okay, now actually I've got to go and evolve this again. And it's interesting how we go through it, because this isn't an A to Z point on a map kind of journey. It's a journey that wanders all over the place while you're doing it. And I think that the trust thing is really important, Ash. I think there's a difference between learning something and knowing something. Anyone can read a book, and learn, but to actually know something, you got to have an experience of it. And I think that's the level of knowledge that makes a real difference to being able to do stuff consistently. Greg, I spent 2 years trading 1 minute charts on price action only, no indicators at the start. I spent about 2 to 3 years trading the slingshot with Jeff, and shows as well as live, before I really got into trend trading. I was learning trend trading in the background while I was trading the slingshot, and then trend trading from there probably took me about the 8-year mark before I was really settled in the fact, not that I knew what it was in those days, but I'm one of Gordon's polar bears, and I can trade other styles, but in the background there's always a polar bear mentality for mine, and it's different. Me and Ash, very different personalities in the market. I am prepared to push into a market and look for a big winner. He'll be far more patient than me. It's never changed. But we've developed our approaches and they both work, and that's what's really important. Hope that answered yours, Greg. If you want to ask any more, if it's not clear, let us know. Look, we continue to have questions coming, and keep asking your questions. If you ask questions, you do get in the draw twice at the end. From Crystal again, have you observed market changes since pandemic? Is it more volatile, exciting, profitable? It's never exciting, Crystal. Do you change your trading methods?
Do you know what? I haven't really. Obviously the market did something different for a period than it was doing. It had an absolute washout. But if you kind of go back, in history, it does this every now and again, and so that's sort of it. No, it's not an everyday thing, but it is an every 5-year thing, or an every kind of 10-year thing or something. So yeah, it doesn't really change. There's always a massive period of fear where everybody just gets out, and then everything becomes valued again, and people start buying it up again, and get overconfident, and then there's always a massive period of fear. So it doesn't really matter what the drive. There's always something. There's always something on the horizon, which is when people tell me this time it's different. I always kind of balk at it, because it never is. It's we're always going up and we're always coming down. So the period that we saw did pick up in volatility in comparison to the prior period, but you could literally go back and say, tsunami in Japan, a volcano in Iceland, Donald Trump and his trade wars. There's always something that you could kind of draw on and say that was a particularly volatile point in the market, because we're human beings, and human beings do random things, and also we're interacting with nature, and every now and again nature bites back. So it's kind of. It doesn't change the way I look at the market. We're traders, so we can trade up or down. So it's just a question of, do we get the same signals? And I guess maybe that's the question. Are the signals different? But they're not. Signals are exactly the same. Still looking at what's the VIX doing. That tells me that's the fear that tells me what's going on with the S&P. What are bonds doing? What's WTI? What's oil doing? People that are in an expansive phase will use more commodity, so it's going to push a price up. Then you got the human element. How are OPEC going to kind of come in and mess up the status quo? These things are always happening, and I think they'll happen forever.
Mate, I really like it. I've got a sort of similar but different view, if you like. And look, Crystal, one of the things that we do is the market does something and we attribute it to that behavior as if it's fact. So the market does something and goes, oh, that's because of COVID. Now, is it because of COVID? I don't really know. We just say it is and assume that we're right. One thing I'll say that I think has changed in the market is that about 3 months ago, for the first time ever, retail traders put more volume into the Forex market than institutional traders. And I think are you still with us, Ash?
Yeah.
And I think that has the potential. Look, I'm going to use a bad word, but I think that has the potential to see the market do more amateur things, because they're amateur traders. So I wouldn't be surprised over the next period of time to see fib levels starting to have a bit more consistency than they've had in the past, because there's enough retail guys trading off them now to make a bit of an impact from them. So, yeah, I think there is some changes in the market. I would say, you guys have all seen us change the Waverider strategy, and we've changed the Waverider strategy because I don't think there's the same follow through now as there was 2 years ago. That we're not getting, the trends are a lot more bumpy, and we're getting a lot more chop than we were. Whether it's got anything to do with the pandemic is, who knows? Everyone says it does or it doesn't, and who knows? The only thing I could say definitely in the last few years that definitely affected the market was Donald Trump tweeting, because he would tweet and the market would move. Everything else is an assumed reaction, and I agree with Ash that while I would say that I think there's not as much follow through, still largely markets just do what they've always done. They just go up and down, and you get an opportunity. If you've got a strategy, you follow a strategy, it tends to work out okay. So I think that's really easy in trading. That's one of the things I do think like that. I have seen a lot of traders who have been unlucky, but I've never seen a trader who's been lucky. And I think there's a real tendency in the world to blame everything in the world. It's the pandemic, it's Donald Trump, it's this, it's that, and all the. And the truth is, it's just you're not trading well enough.
Yeah,
market's just doing what it's doing. It doesn't care about you. But it's far easier, and sometimes it's far healthier to blame something else. It's far easier, and it really is something far healthier. Look, I do want to make sure we get plenty of time for Ash to answer the questions, and the questions are pouring in. So I'll just have a bit of a look. Ash, gold's pushing up a little bit. Angie's trying to get to that at the moment, mate. I don't know if we're going to have enough time, but the US market's on a little roll down today.
Yeah, it is, which is probably overdue. As you say, we attribute things to moves in the market, but I do follow the fundamentals very closely. And last night we had FOMC, the minutes from the FOMC, and we seem to be having a reaction today. So also things going on in China as well, which has brought the market down. But ultimately, markets are overvalued. So we're about to go into earnings season and see how overvalued those things are. But to take a bit of profit, this is the thing. Back to our markets, any different? People buy low and they sell high because that's how they make money. So what's going on right now is that we have pushed to points that are way beyond where we've ever been before in the US stock market. And people are taking some money off the table, but that money will come back in. And I don't see anything particularly sinister about the move to the downside right now, even though we could still get a 10% correction. I'm all up for that.
Mate, from Juan again, keep the questions coming in. Got a question too. I'll get this one first. And 10 words or less, as because we are under time pressure. Crystal wants to know if you've gone vegan.
10 words or less. So let's say yes. Because on the whole, I have, but I still eat fish.
From Juan, how do you filter the noise and achieve greater clarity?
How do you filter the noise and get
greater clarity?
And get clarity? I listen to specific things. I listen to Bloomberg, but only for a period, just before I'm starting my day, just to get an overview of what I think market sentiment is, and then it's off. I used to listen to news all the time, but I don't anymore. I just go to certain points in the day to feed me what I know I need, and then as soon as I'm done with that, then I'm looking at the data from Forex Factor or anything else, and I don't listen to news because that's opinion rather than fact.
Well, I'm going to keep my answers really quick on this stuff at the moment because we are time pushed. But the answer to me on this is everything, right? If you don't have clarity, have a break and come back, and you'll probably have clarity. Just let your mind get to work and let it sort the stuff out. The reason that the noise affects you and you don't have clarity is because you act before it comes. And if you don't have clarity and there's confusion in your brain, then walk away, have a break. And not a break because I'm breaking my rules, I've got to get away from this, but have a break and come back 15 minutes later and go, okay, well, let's let my subconscious mind get to work on this. And my experience is that my subconscious mind is very, very good when I leave it alone to do some stuff. I think I solve 90% of the times of my life while I'm sleeping. I really do. I wake up going, oh, that's easy. Have a break. Good point, Ash. Have to look into both external and internal factors. Simon asked if you're still playing the piano for relief.
Yeah, every day. Every day, really important. That's a really important part of my day, is to play piano.
Yep. Sorry, Ash. Yep.
Well, I suppose it's in a way you could call it part of my overall psychology, which spills into my trading psychology. Very important to me.
Look, again, I think you don't have to go and buy pianos and put them in your trading room. I read the newspaper from time to time when I'm trading. You just have to find your thing that clears your mind, right? I'll go and read about a bit of football or rugby or something a little while in the newspaper, and someone doing something stupid and think it's funny, and it'll take my mind away. And that's what you've got to do: find a way to take your mind away. So Juan said, and these are things that have been posted while we've been talking earlier, but he says that chocolate helps, but cannabis is a no-no. Ever traded stone? Yes.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
Of course I have, but it does. It's not the way to. It's not the way to go. As Muhammad Ali. What's that, mate?
More fun, less money.
But yeah, Muhammad Ali would say, "Stay off the dope," and I would agree with him wholeheartedly.
Yeah, look, I'm not particularly moralist. If you want to do cannabis, off you go and do some cannabis. But it's the same kind of thing. I wouldn't be doing that while I had money in the markets because I do need some clarity. And interesting that you asked two questions pretty quickly. One, how do I get clarity? And should I be trading stone? And those two.
just as a bit of clarity for you as well. When I started my career as a trader, I was also a singer in a band. So the kind of the cannabis thing did have a little bit of a crossover, but not for long. I gave that stuff up a long time ago, and it's I can tell you with absolute certainty it won't help you.
Guys, I've got questions to apply, and I can't see them all at the moment. So I don't know if some of them are just quick comments and replies. But what I'm going to do is at top of the hour, I'm going to ask Mike to do the draw, and I'm going to ask Ash a couple of questions about where he is. Then we're going to, if you're okay for time, Ash. One thing I don't know if Maya's okay for time. So if you can let me know in the Skype or in the chat, Maya, if you're okay for time. we could go on a little bit longer here. I'm happy to do that. I'd love to answer your questions. What the show's supposed to be all about is helping you guys become better traders. So if Mike can stay, we'll get through the questions and then do it. Otherwise, I'll ask a couple of questions and we'll do the draw at the top of the hour, and then we'll come back and keep answering questions. We've got a lot of questions coming in. We do appreciate it. Keep them rolling in. It's how we make you guys better traders. Anything that we design for you is not as good as something that you lead. One's just saying that trust strengthens our belief system. It really does, someone. And Soon's going, Ash, did you ever hate trading Forex before along the years? How many times and why?
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely did. I suppose not a whole bunch, but there was certainly over the course of when I was learning, it may happen once every 3 months, and it was really because I was making that same mistake. I was compounding the mistake, and it made me just hate markets completely and blame the market and do all the natural things that we all do. We've all been through it, and I suggest that the reason you're asking that is probably because you've been there. Well, I can maybe give you some comfort in to tell you that we all have, and I certainly have, and it's really not a problem to be in that place at some point. You've just got to stick in there and fix what is making you feel like that, because it's not the market or Forex or whatever else you should hate. It's something to do with your approach that needs work. But and that's the thing about recognizing the sabotage. What is the sabotager? What is the thing that is making you hate this external factor? Because if you can find that, you will make the turn. But it's completely, it's a natural thing, because the market is so, there's things that in the market that they just really do just kind of churn up emotion, because we're dealing with our money. And when we're dealing with our money, we're dealing with our future, and we're dealing with our freedom, and we're dealing with our time. So when we make mistakes, we know that we've just wasted a period of time. So that's something that is inevitable to make you project that somewhere, and you end up hating the market, but that's not the area to put your hatred. It is to energize it and go, how can I fix what's going wrong here? Because you can fix what's going wrong here. I can say that with absolute certainty, because as I said earlier, I'm not unique, unusual, exceptional, and I can do it. So what's that?
You're a little bit unusual.
Unusual, yeah. When it comes down to trading, though,
but I really like this. I want to see if I can just. I want to. Mine's okay to stay, so we're going to try and stay and get through these. Let's not rush our answers. I just want to say this as well. I've hated Forex, and I threw a computer out a window. I've hated Forex, but I think the truth is that what you do is you blame Forex, but you hate yourself. That's the truth of it. I think you're making mistakes, and then you get really frustrated with yourself. And one of the things you need to do is, when you think you hate Forex, is just have a look at what you've just done, and go, is that actually the market, or is that actually that? I took 2 losses, so I tripled my risk and tripled my risk and tripled my risk until I'd run out of money. Well, actually, that's not the market. That's not Forex's fault. That's my fault. And only when you can own that stuff do you really progress around hating Forex. When you can, in the moment, we all hate it. When you can reflect and go, actually, look, next time I'm in that position, I need to understand that if I do the same thing again, I'm going to feel the same again, and I don't want to feel the same more. So I need to change it. So from Raymond, hi Raymond, how you going? By the way, knowing your setups, knowing what to do, but doing it all together different, or doing all different things. If you can share your experience, how your procrastination to decisive and act on it, we'd greatly appreciate it. I'm going to read it again. Knowing your setups, knowing what to do, but doing it is altogether a different thing. If you can share your experience, how you from procrastination to decisive and act on it, will be greatly appreciated.
That is a factor. Knowing what you should do and being able to do it are completely different things. And the mistakes that are made, and this is the thing about it, is that by no means am I a robot. By no means do I go to the market every day and do the right thing, because there's times when I do the wrong thing. The question, as I said earlier on, is what do you do when you do the wrong thing? That's what's going to make the difference between you being successful and you being unsuccessful, if you like, or fail. So what do you do when things go wrong? Because there'll be a period where you'll do the right thing. And to expect you to do the right thing every single time is just unrealistic. It won't happen. We're human beings. We're not robots. We do make mistakes, and we are kind of involved in this thing which does generate mistakes. That's just the way it is. So the way to get to the point where you're not making those mistakes as well, again, and I do come back to it a lot, is to make sure that you've got clarity of what you were thinking and what you did. And I can't tell you sort of like how important a pad and a pen is to me. A pad and a pad of paper and a pen is just, it probably is one of the biggest things for me. It's probably the thing that's made one of the biggest differences. Because if, let's say as an example, you've been out in town or somewhere and somebody's cut you up and you had a reaction and the reaction was really bad. It made you really angry and you did something that you shouldn't have done. And then you go home that evening and you think about it all day, back on the bus, whatever. You go home that evening and you write down what happened and you write down a few things that you could have done differently to make the situation better. I would suspect that would, number one, make you feel better, and number two, enable you to learn something about yourself and about how you should react in a situation like that. And I find it's exactly the same with trading. You know, it's self-analysis. What am I doing? You know, what mistakes am I making? And I find I can only really do that if I put it down on a piece of paper and then read it back objectively. So you've got to be honest, but I do find this kind of process of self-discovery really does help with making the right decision the next time, because it will happen that you'll make the wrong decision every now and again.
I really like all of that. And we're really lucky that we have a lot of, we get to spend a bit of time with some people who are really good traders and learn a bit from them. And when I was in Denmark, right at the start of my trading journey, when I was just learning, I spent a bit of time with Leon. And you know, I'm sure you guys, most of you have had us introduce Leon before. He's head analyst for a major European bank. They trade, I think it was $260 billion, something ridiculous. And when I met Leon, he was, he'd finished trading, had gone to Denmark, and he was trading from home, trading his own money. Again, not a small amount of money, a decent amount of money. And, you know, he was up all night and he was quite stressed, went through some reasonably lean patches. But I always remember him telling me one of the turning points for him. He literally put and I told you the story 100 times, I'm sure, Ash. He literally put a big piece of paper above his computer screen, and the heading for it was the cost of breaking my rules. And every time he broke his rules and lost, he wrote it on the piece of paper until the amount of money that he'd lost got, you know, through the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then you've got to make a decision. And I think we must make a decision. Are you here to have some fun, or are you here to not give 100? Because when you give $100,000 to the market or $300,000 to the market, you're going to make $300,000 to start, to get back, to even be back into charge. And so, and we all do it. We all take a bad trade a month that we just waste 1% or whatever it is. But when you start to have a look at how that mounts up and what that really is, I would suggest for most retail traders, with due respect, there's probably 2 to 3 bad trades a week. They're probably putting 10% of their account at risk by just taking trades that no one knows good about the board, or they're upset, or whatever it is. And only when you start looking at them going, actually, if I'm going to make money from this, and Ash talks to us all the time, Mike, I love the expression, Ash, the first thing you have to do is defend your account. And the way you defend your account is by not doing really stupid things. Yeah. And by nature, we do a lot of stupid things. You know, don't feel particularly special. We all do it. You know, I think the way to get out of knowing what to do and doing something else is to see if you can work out the cost of that. Because the cost of that really is, you know, what you're playing for here is your financial future. It's thanks for the messages, by the way. Thanks for that. So, yeah, Trading Buddies. Someone talking about Trading Buddies and what a great show it is. And look, I'm sort of going to leave that question there and go, look, if you want some help, don't forget that we offer a huge amount of content free. You know, you've got Trading Buddies Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think it's 5 to 3. Singapore, we've got the crypto stuff with Shukri. He's amazing, boy. When you actually know Shukri, he is got an amazing mind, that man. And we changed the name of his show from Crypto Moon to Crypto News. Might do a couple more of those a week. You know, you've got the weekly market analysis show on a Sunday. You know, honestly, we don't even, in general, we don't pitch products on these shows, right? We just turn up and teach you guys for free. And if you're looking for some stuff, spend some time listening to good traders, because good traders still have the same battles that you do. they're just in the habit of winning them, and most retail traders are in the habit of losing them, and you can change habits. I like the writing stuff down, Ash. You know, at the end of the day, if you go in town and do something stupid, you write it down, you read it, and you go, well, that was stupid. But in the moment, your emotions are telling you, testosterone kicks in for the guys. It's like, oh, that guy did that to me. And you write it down, go, what was I thinking? You know? Yeah. Training's kind of the same. But I'm going to ask you guys some nice comments coming in. Thanks, guys. Going to ask you a couple of questions. I'm going to get Mike to do the draw, and then if there's any more questions, I'm going. Oh, great! More positive comments. People love the trading buddies, Ash.
I do, mate. It's absolutely brilliant. You know, it's to trade in a room with people that are coming in and kind of asking questions, and there's no doubt about it. Some of the people that listen to the show, I'll just see Jaira there, are pretty advanced traders and you know, good traders themselves in their own right. You know, Jaira, I think on a few occasions has brought forward some things that we should have a look at. And Jeff and I wouldn't have looked at the markets or the charts in that particular way. So that's the whole thing about trading buddies, is that we're all in it together. Jeff and I lead it, of course, but you know, we're all in it together, and we're all kind of sharing ideas and trying to progress as people and as traders. So it's a fantastic show, absolutely brilliant.
I really like it, mate. Jaira's been with us, I reckon, for now maybe 8 years. And the fact that he can come along to a show and interact with you guys and get some stuff is great. And one of the things about these guys, everyone grows in different ways. My recollection, Jaira is very good analytically.
Very good.
Good at knowing what's going on and being able to go, well, and having those guys come into your show and add to that kind of stuff just adds depth to the whole thing and shows people what they can do. And it also perhaps should remind all of us, the stuff we're good at. How do we add to it? How do we take something we're really good and add something to make a difference to it, to make some extra money? Rightio, Ash, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. We're going to do the draw. I'm looking away because every now and again, Mike talks to me on Skype. I'm just going to see if she's missing me to tell me to hurry up or what's going on there in a second. Oh, nice, Jerry. Yeah, you said you had a new boy. That's kind of cool. You got about six, eight months old now? Bit younger? Around 6 months, Jerry? You said what's recording on YouTube, mate. Yeah, look.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm not that far away from having done that myself. But some of that stuff, boy, being able to adjust your trading style around children is a completely different challenge in itself.
Yeah, it is.
I guess I'm going to try and see if I can encapsulate these. You can take the time you need to take, but recently we've made a breakthrough in your trading, right? Or you've made a breakthrough in your trading, I should say. What enabled you to do that?
I guess it really was probably going and having actually more time away from charts. Strangely enough, having headspace to think about how I could reconstruct something, because we were talking about the approach and the strategy earlier on, and even though I could sort of I could be comfortable with what was going on, I knew I needed to. I had to change them. My lifestyle has changed, over the last 5 years because I've had a daughter, and there's been lots of little things that have happened sort of like in that particular period. One of the most significant things, I think, is when Gordon Scott talked about animals and talked about kind of like, what's that mean?
Brilliant, wasn't it?
Oh, it's amazing. It's so insightful. It's so insightful to not just say, "Are you a short-term trader, medium term?" To actually kind of put it into the animal kind of paradigm, if you like, and use animals as a kind of simile for trading. I thought was really insightful. To say that a dragonfly would kill 90% of what they hunt, but if they do actually get hit, then they're probably done. Was interesting to kind of say, are you this kind of trader? Should you just be going in for these little things, these little winners? And it really did kind of change the way that I have approached the market. So when I now trade in the market, I am just looking for, I call it first contact. So I call the strategy, if you like, first contact, because what I'm looking for is that first touch. So I've got to find it. I've got to find the right price, and it defines my approach in the morning. I can now kind of go, because I know where I'm getting out significantly, and that was something else that he said, which I thought was brilliant. The type of trade you are is where you get out, not where you get in. So I realized that I was putting too much weight on the entry and not enough weight on the exit. So I focused a lot more on my exit. So I suppose in a nutshell, I've got here eventually, the most significant change that's happened for me recently is where am I getting out of the market?
I'm going to digress for a second, Ash, because that stuff's brilliant. But one of the things I will say here is that the unknown guy in our organisation right now, for a long time it was Lloyd, and we've kind of busted his cover in the last year. But Gordon Scott's a genius. I remember saying in the meeting with the trading team after that event that I thought it was the most impactful 3 hours of education I've ever done. That I thought it was that good. And guys, if you get a chance again, we're not selling Gordon Scott at $20,000 or $50,000. You can do Gordon Scott's course for $97. We'll be offering it again reasonably soon. He's the stocks guy. He's the guy that writes the Investopedia stocks newsletter, which is the most read newsletter on the planet for stocks. He's exceptionally good. And if you have a chance to spend a day with Gordon Scott and you don't do it for $97, you're possibly not going in the right direction here. He is super clever. I was having a chat with him yesterday. It's one of the great things we do have is that chance to have a chat about some stuff. And he is, we've got some more stuff to do with him. And really the truth is that he really enjoys it and we really enjoy it. But if we're going to keep Gordon Scott, at some stage, more than 3 people are going to have to watch his shows and more people have to come to his courses because it has to be worth his time, not from a financial point of view, it's well past that, but from the benefit it can do. If we put 10 people into his programs, no matter about the money, it's just not really going very far. If we can put 50 people into his programs, he can teach and touch a lot of lives. And we have got to find him more because we need him to stay in our organisation. He's very good. He came in as a contact evangelist. I digress a lot, Ash. I want to come back to you. And amazing, right? A little bit of education provides a spark and you're brought into a fire.
Yes, exactly that.
We've taken on previously, you've taken on previously the make a mistake, repeat a mistake. Because in reality, for most people, that's make a mistake, make another mistake, make another mistake. It doesn't stop at 2. It tends to build a little bit, right? You manage to work your way through that and go, okay, well, this is I'm going to deal with that. So you've gone to a new level. What's that new level look like?
It is freedom. It's financial freedom. It's time freedom. My new day is completely different. I think there was, almost a joke inside the company that I would sit there for 8 hours in front of the charts, which I probably did. But my new day doesn't look like that anymore. My new day is that what I earn now from trading / investing completely pays for my life. So I don't need to work. That's the first thing. Now, and to be able to say that is liberating, and I encourage everybody to try and get to that point. We talked earlier about the first tick box is, can you stop losing money? What's the next tick box? Well, I'm at the tick box which says that I don't need to work. The next tick box, the next jump will be, can I buy whatever I want? and probably I can now because I don't want a lot. But could I be overly ostentatious? And okay, I'm not at that point yet. But my life is paid for, and my daughter's life is paid for, and my girlfriend's life is paid for. So that is a really liberating place to be. That's what it looks like. So my time now is that I try and make my money within half an hour to an hour in the morning. And then the rest of the time, it is just about what I want to do. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean that I'm not still doing things around the markets because, as I said earlier, I do it for 2 reasons. I do it, number one, to educate and make sure that I'm still sharp to be able to give people the right information. Number 2, because I do actually find it quite relaxing to go and research stuff. And number 3, because my mind is kind of based on, I like learning, so that's what I enjoy doing in my day. So my time is different now, mate. But the stuff that I do outside of that half an hour to an hour is my choice.
And we're not saying that when we say this, right, that you've got to a point of freedom where financially you don't have to work anymore. But we're not saying that you drive a Lamborghini and you've got $15 million in the bank. We're just saying that you're at a place where for you found freedom and there's financial peace, right?
Yeah.
Look, I want to ask you 2 more questions. And I want to ask you two more questions. And for mine, trading always has challenges. And my first question for you is, when you've broken through, do you celebrate? Do you relax? How do you get back to it?
Yes, you relax. I mean, I think that in a way you need to talk to somebody and get yourself back on track. And I'll bring us back a little bit to the conversation we had the other day. But you and I were talking the other day, and I think you probably sensed that I was getting maybe a little bit flabby in my approach. And you know, you basically said, look, I can't remember what your wording was, but it was a bit of a kind of verbal slap in the face again. And come on, man, let's not leave it here, if you like. Let's get back on it and make sure you're still pushing through to the next level. So I think you need people. I think you do need people to kind of get you back on track. It's difficult to do this stuff on your own and handle this stuff on your own because you're not on your own. And there are sort of other people within your life, and you know, it doesn't have to be somebody that's to do with trading necessarily. But I don't think you should party for too long, you know, because there's the next thing. We're not dead, you know what I mean? We're kind of going. We're still going to exist, and you know, I love trading, and I intend to do this for the rest of my life. So I don't tend to get lazy with my approach. So enjoy it for a little while, but remember that life goes on, and it's just another roadmap that you've got to, and let's now go to the next one.
I really like that, Ash, and it's been really interesting because obviously I've had a reasonable part. At different times I've been quite involved in your trading, and at that times where I've given you a fair chunk of space. But you know, it's actually been quite working with you over the last 5, 6, 7 years, I guess. I've got some quite good learning out of doing it, Ash. It's interesting to have sort of spent some time. I always felt you could become a really good trader, and I'm really pleased to see you did become a really good trader. And yeah, mate, congratulations to you. And it certainly helped me to refine some of my skills. I think there was times when I slapped you in the face every time I spoke to you about trading, and it's not that helpful. You know, I think learning to refine that has been really good for my coaching as well. I think I've got one other question for you, Ash. And look, we're getting some really nice comments in the chat. I think, you know, all I want your trading experts to be is the chance to sit down and chat with traders. I've decided literally no scripts, no questions pre-written from us for this. We just literally sat down and talked about trading. And that's what I want it to be, because then you guys can ask the questions and we can sort of lead the answers, and hopefully we can give you stuff that makes a real difference to you. Ash, 15 years ago, if your current day self could go back and have a chat with 15 years ago, Ash, you've taken your first trade, you've lost a bit of money, what would you tell yourself?
Wow, that is a good one. Well, do you know what I would tell myself? I'd tell myself, just stick in there, it'll be okay. You know, obviously the kind of the lovely thing to say is that this is what you need to do from day one, and you're gonna make a whole bunch of money. But actually, that's not where we were. That's not where we are now. And there's no point in regretting what happened 15 years ago and thinking that I could have made this a lot sooner. What matters is where we're going, and what matters is that we are going to make it. So, you know, and what matters is that we're happy. And I'm no less happy today, that I don't think anyway, than I would have been if I'd made this, you know, if I got to this particular point 5, 10, 15 years ago. Anyway, I've had a great time, you know, I really enjoy life. So I think I would just say, just stick in there. And if you want to achieve something, then don't give up, you know?
Yeah, I really like that stuff, Ash. The truth is, if you'd gone back 15 years ago and told yourself how to trade, you wouldn't know what to do with it.
No.
You know, so, you know, when you start and you're not making, and you're struggling, part of it is because you just don't know enough, you know, and time and experience build then. There's only one way to get time and experience. You've got to sit in front of some charts. And look, the truth is, everybody gives up trading while they're losing, and telling people to stick with it and have them, if they don't have our accounts and they're losing their own money, you know, it's hard for people, you know. But, you know, those that stick with it make it. That's just the truth, you know. But some guys take a long time. Rightio, look, I am going, mate, thank you very much. We're well over time. I do appreciate your time. Yeah, look, Livid Tea keeps saying stop loss is depressing, but look, if you're finding out, my suggestion to you is, because I don't see a question there exactly, is go back over this, watch the recording of this session again, and listen to the stuff about psychology, listen to the stuff that we've talked about. I actually think there's been some really good stuff in this. And if you do, look, you've got to work out why you're seeing stop loss. And it's likely because of one of your behaviors as opposed to anything else. And if you change that behavior, you'll start to see a little bit less stop loss. So keep at it. And, it is to look, mate. Actually, I'm going to make a comment and then I'm going to say, Ash, you and I have both led quite varied lives, right? We've done a lot of different things. I would say we don't have I didn't, get a degree, get a career job, work for the same company for 40 years. I've been all over the world doing different things. Trading is by far the most rewarding thing I've ever done, but without doubt, it's been the most challenging at times as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'd agree with this, and you've probably forgotten this bit. But the most rewarding thing that I've done is definitely having a daughter, and it is definitely the most challenging. Trading kind of pales into insignificant, I think, when you've got any children under 5. But I know you mean when it comes down to career, there's no doubt about the fact that that as a career, it is that. And I would actually sort of bring it into your everyday life, where it actually helps in everyday life, because it is a challenge and it does kind of push and pull you, and it does make you test yourself and ask yourself questions and help you to learn. And it helps you with what's going on outside of it as well.
Things happen in my everyday life now that I react to a lot better than I would have 10 years ago, and trading's helped me to understand the importance of being able to stay centered and make good decisions.
Yes.
It's not a cliche. We don't start on these shows just to add 15 seconds on the end. It's because it's bloody important, to stay centered in life and make good decisions. None of us do it all the time. We all have, I have terrible days, I do terrible stuff, but most times I'm a lot better than they used to be. Mate, I'm going to ask Mai to do the draw. The winner today is going to get 1 month's free access to your strategy bias group. I think James has done a bit of a special one as well if people want to sign up to it. 1 minute on the strategy bias group. Then we'll do the wheelers from you, Ash. What's your thoughts on the strategy bias group?
Thoughts on the strategy bias group. So I suppose if you want to kind of like move into fundamental COT and seasonality analysis, then the fundamental bias group is a really useful tool, because what I'm trying to give people is the overall reading of what these different indicators are saying, and also I try and give you just a little bit of a snapshot of the type of thing that I'm looking at to come up with the opinion. So it's a bit of a learning tool, but also what I'm hoping is that people can actually use it within their trading from day one. That I try and sort of like list down all the currencies and give you the whether it's a buy or sell, but then there's going to be a synopsis every day on a currency. So hopefully there's a bit of a learning tool in there as well. So it should help you progress your trading. It's
busy, isn't it? That group is busy.
There's a lot of information.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of information, but it's written in such a way that actually, if all you want to know is whether the COT data suggests a buy or sell, that's written somewhere. You can find that. But if you want to know a little bit about why do you think the dollar's strengthening right now, well, I'll write that as well in there. I'll write a few paragraphs of why the US dollar is probably strengthening at this particular point.
Great, mate. Thank you very much. Now, as my gets to the Wheel of Fortune, I think she's going to post a link for anyone that wants to join us, the strategy bias group. And I do want to let you know as well, if you're in Actions to Wealth, we're doing a company update on Wednesday, and then that we are going to do a couple of the annual specials that we run out very occasionally. Mai, let's give away 1 month's free access to the strategy bias group. We haven't given it away for quite a long time, so since that's just here, that's what we're going to give away. Mai will be madly throwing a few extra names into the Wheel of Fortune. I'm looking forward to having Candice tell me that she's going to win. Crystal. Thank you. When you're sharing screen, I send the echo. So our winner was Mum or Mum. Can you write in the box, please? Sorry? Some. There we go. Some. We're going to give you 10 seconds to write in here and tell us that you're here and watching and paying attention, because really, if you're going to be here, you need to pay attention to learn all this stuff. Yes, you are. Congratulations, Some. Maya's going to pass your details on to James. James is on holiday tomorrow, so he'll be back on Monday. He'll be in touch with you Monday or Tuesday next week to make sure that you get your prize. Mate, I want to thank you. It's, I think, look, the truth is that it takes a lot of courage to come on and talk about what you're doing, really. And I hope it's designed to be a really honest conversation. I appreciate your honesty. I hope the people at home have really got that's what it is. If you've watched this, I really encourage you to spend an hour tomorrow, and you're more than welcome, everyone. Spend an hour tomorrow and have another look at it. I think there's some really good stuff in here. And if you want a bit of a journal or a plan for your trading future, there's plenty of stuff in the last hour and a quarter that should make a real difference to us. So thank you very much to US. Thanks to everyone that has attended. I have a feeling that next week I am talking crypto. We have a pretty big announcement coming out on crypto in the next few weeks. So maybe it'll be next week, maybe it'll be the week after, but it's not far away. Perhaps the biggest announcement for some time, really, as far as direction on a few things. That's not far away. Hopefully next Thursday, otherwise it'll be something else. Watch for the preview. It'll be on Tuesday, Wednesday night. I'll be back Thursday at 7 o'clock. I'm looking forward to the next breakthrough, mate.
Yeah, and it will come. And I want to say kind of, publicly here on air as well, the other day we were talking about some of the people that have helped me during the journey. And I listed about 5 or 6 different people and the different people that weren't actually sort of anything to do with trading, which is the way it is. But I want to make sure that that publicly it's known that I can't thank you enough as well, mate.
It's been my pleasure, mate. Cheers. Thanks, everyone. See you later. Cheers, Ash. Thanks, everyone. See yous.